right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks for sticking around for a special Steelers edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host, Rich Walsh, along with Steelers legend and former defensive lineman for the team, Chris Hoke, at HokeyBro76. Chris, thanks a lot. Preseason is in the books. Did anyone stand out to you today? Did anyone make the team based off their performance tonight?
Well, it's a great question, Rich. It's great to be with you. But there are several players that stood out to me tonight, but also a few players that also their stock went down for me. But one of the ones that really stood out to me tonight is Jeremy Bernard. He only had one catch, but throughout the preseason, he has shown an ability to elude tackles, break tackles, make exciting catches and runs afterwards. He's one guy that I'm excited to see play in the regular season against starters. He stood out to me with that nice touchdown run of 13 yards. And then, listen, you got to look at right now a guy in Robert Spears-Jennings on the defense. He only had 2 tackles, but he was an impact player, big hits. He was where he needed to be. Players talk about how he's a guy who is vocal, he is a communicator, and he's a guy that really is a leader as a young player on that defense.
So, Chris, who's on the outside looking in right now? We got names like Caleb Johnson, maybe Gabe Rubio. Yeah. What about Carson Bruner, Ryan McCollum, Dean Lowry? There's a lot of good names on this list that might not make this team, and mainly because it could be because the Steelers are keeping 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Out of those names, who do you think's on the outside of this 53?
Well, I do think the Steelers are going to keep 4 quarterbacks. Tonight, when asked in the post-game interview, Coach McCarthy did say that we have your great evaluation about 4 quarterbacks. He said we have 2 veterans we can live with, and we have 2 young guys that we're excited about their future. So it sounds to me like they're going to keep 4 quarterbacks, which is going to compel the Steelers to let go of a veteran or a player who could be a good player in the NFL, just not enough spots. But I think one guy you talked about, Caleb Johnson, he's a guy who looks the part. It's so frustrating because when you watch him and you look at him, he looks the part. But then he goes out there tonight and he has 5 carries for 11 yards. His first 2 carries were 11 yards. After that, he didn't get any yardage. And talking trash after a play, whatever that was, when really he should have stiff-armed the guy and got another 3 or 4 yards down the sideline. So he's one guy I can see the Steelers letting go of. And then when you talk about I just don't see Carson Bruner going anywhere. There's a guy that they're really excited about. He's a big special teams player and made some plays. He did have a big whiff on a tackle out in the flat that went for a touchdown. And you look on the offensive line and McCollum. I think McCollum is not going to sleep well over the next few nights because of just the numbers. And he can't play guard. He can play center, but they need a backup who can play multiple positions. It's the more you can do mentality. I think he's a guy that you named that is going to have some concern. And so we're going to see what happens. It's going to be exciting over the next few days.
But how many special teams guys can you keep? You know, you got Carson Bruner.
Yeah.
We mentioned Travis Homer, brought in to be a special teams guy. Also probably the 3rd running back, I would think, right now, unless they pick Lou Nichols or Caleb Johnson over him. And then you have a guy like Caden Weechin, who I think made the team based on what he did here tonight. Also, he was a 4th-round draft pick.
Yeah, there's a Skoranek. You could throw him in there as well. The reality is Coach McCarthy has been very clear in several post-conferences of practice and pre-conferences that he had this year, that he can't just keep guys for special teams positions. He's got to have guys who can play special teams, but they have to be able to contribute at their position. So that's going to play a role here. So you look at Weechin, I think you saw today, listen, he might go 3 or 4 returns where he might not get a yard, but then he can take one to the house. He was the #1 punt returner in NCAA last year at Iowa, had the most returns for touchdowns in college football. You saw tonight, he took it to the right. There was nothing there. He was able to break a couple tackles, go left, and he made that punter look silly and went down the sideline for a touchdown. I think he's going to be on this team because that turns around football games and changes fields. And then you look at other guys. You know, I think Skoranek's going to be here. It's interesting to see what happens. My guess is as good as yours right now, Richie, but it is right now you have a lot of good football players on this team, and I think there's going to be a handful of them who will be playing on another team come a Sunday from now.
All right, now to our Penn West University question. I just scanned that QR code on the right-hand corner of your screen. Will Eli Heinrich make the 53-man roster? He scored a touchdown. Big moment for him today. But I don't know if he makes it. I think he's a practice squad guy just because of the numbers, Chris.
Yeah, it's tough. The numbers aren't in his favor, and I thought he ran hard tonight. He had 9 carries for 35 yards, almost a 4-yard average. He had a great touchdown run on that flip at 8 and took it in, led by Max Honachor. Great lead blocking there as he pulled from his front side. Just a great run. He ran hard. He's a guy you want to root for, hometown guy from Mount Lebanon. I think that you'll see him on the practice squad. I don't think you'll see him on the 53. He's a guy that I think they'll keep around and see him develop, get bigger and stronger, and maybe has an opportunity to make 53 either during this season if somebody gets hurt or next training camp.
All right, you're the perfect guy to ask this question to. What are the next couple nights going to be like for some of these guys? Because you're the guy that made the team because of what you did in the preseason and training camp. Some of these guys, I would imagine a lot of sleepless nights here in the next few days.
There's no question about it. You're sweating it. You're not sleeping. You're sitting there by your phone. Every time your phone buzzes or rings, you're hoping it's not the Steelers, the South Side, the coaching staff, or one of the scouts calling you. It's very frustrating. It's very hard. I can honestly say that I was never cut after training camp, and I came in as an undrafted free agent, but it didn't mean I didn't stress out a lot. So a lot of these guys that are on the outside looking in or on the bubble, they will be sweating it for the next 48 to 72 hours.
Chris, we just got some news that Will Howard's being evaluated for some undisclosed medical reason, and he didn't talk during postgame. Yeah. So this could impact something here. I mean, I guess if they put him on IR, then he can't practice for so many weeks. I mean, that would not be a good thing.
No, listen, it's me. He got hit a lot. And there was a time there when you thought maybe he was getting evaluated for concussion. Maybe you saw Dr. Bradley talking to him on the sideline. They showed that in the screen. So I would guess it would be some kind of concussion. But they could use it as an opportunity to put him on IR. I sure hope not. But it's a good way for them to hide him and be able to move forward with only 3 quarterbacks with an opportunity to bring him off down the road.
Yeah, you could hide him for a few weeks, I guess, if there is an injury, and then you can make this decision, in a month from now. I guess that would be beneficial to the Steelers. All right, we're taking your phone calls tonight. 412-575-2600 is the number. Get on board. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to this special Steelers edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity Tweet of the Night. Drew Aller's full preseason stat line, 30 of 54, 55%, 351 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 3 sacks. Chris, if you look at that as a whole, not a bad preseason for Drew Aller. I understand that second preseason game wasn't great. He made a couple strides this final game against Buffalo. The first game was really good for Drew Aller, but he's still rookie. He's still learning. It's coming at him fast.
Yeah, listen, I thought he represented himself well. I thought the first game he played really well. This game, there were times when he could have been better, but I thought overall it was promising. It was encouraging. He got rid of the ball quickly. He was getting it out on rhythm. He was able to, it seemed like the huddle, getting everybody in the line of scrimmage, calling plays. Everything was good there, and he's only a rookie. He's going to come along. When he has more time in this system, when Coach McCarthy keeps 4 quarterbacks, he's going to put him and Will Howard through this kind of an impromptu at times quarterback school. He's going to coach these guys up. He's going to really remodel their throwing, remodel their footwork, everything. And this is going to be almost a redshirt year for those two. That's why you're going to see these 4 quarterbacks with Aaron Rodgers playing Mason Rudolph backing him up, so he can tutor these guys. And the real battle for those two will be next season. But I thought Drew Aller really represented himself. That was a little bugaboo there against the Jets last week. But today, he doesn't take sacks. He had 3 sacks against the Jets. But he didn't have a sack in the first game. He didn't have a sack here. I just think because he has the ability to get rid of the ball quickly, and he's decisive.
All right. Not a lot of veterans played this preseason. A lot of the impact veterans did not play. T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman. I could go on and on. Do you think that was a bad decision at all? Should these guys have just seen maybe a series or 2?
That's pretty much happening across the NFL. I mean, some teams play a quarterback for a series in week 1 or week 2, but the reality is that's consistently happening. They're paying these guys so much money right now that they got to protect the investment. Will it look like in that first month of September, maybe some rusty teams where they're sputtering off to a start? Probably for some. Others, maybe not as much. Remember last year, you saw Aaron Rodgers come out in week 1 and light it up. So we'll see what happens. But to me, when you're not not playing really anybody against high-level competition or just game speed. Your timing's off. You're going to have some issues in terms of your protection and picking up games and twists and blitzes. Those things are going to happen a little bit more regularly in the first month of the season.
All right, before we get to the phone calls, 412-575-2600. One final question for you, Chris. Joey Porter Jr., he didn't play this preseason. As of right now, no contract. They're at an impasse. How will that affect him? He's going to play in the regular season. How is that going to affect him at the start of the season?
I don't think it's going to affect him quite a lot. He's out there working out. He's out there running around. I'd like to see Joey Porter Jr. out there on the field. They just got to come to a reasonable number that works for him and works for the Steelers. It's a win-win. And it seems right now there's a lot of news out there. We don't know where the truth is. But I hope they figure it out because he's a big part of the Steelers' defense. He's a big part of Pittsburgh, Western PA, playing high school ball here and then playing at Penn State. And so I'd like to see him stay here at home and work something out with the Steelers and be here long term. Yeah,
they figured it out with Herbig and also Keanu Benton. So
that's the struggle, right? Yeah. That's the issue, right? You pay backups, you pay role players, but then you can't come to a number with your star player. And who knows exactly where this is landing right now, if it's on Joey, if it's on the Steelers. But you've got to find a way to sign one of your best defensive players.
Yeah, I agree. Dave in Hermitage, how you doing, Dave?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. I like to see that Elon Hadrack will be on the practice squad. I think we should make the team because we've been so bad in the punt return or kickoff return average. I think we're near the bottom last year as well. So I like to see that those two will be there. But I really like the way Bruner played. He's an up-and-coming star. I hang up and get your opinion on that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with everything he just said. Eli Heidenreich, I think, is a lock to make the practice squad, unless someone else gives him a deal to be on a regular season roster. So I think he's right about that. As for Caden Weegan, I was kind of on the fence with it until he returned that punt. That changes your mind pretty quickly. And it's hard to cut a fourth-round draft pick after the training camp, right?
Richie, it just takes one. It just takes one. All of a sudden, it's like, whoa, the last four returns, he only went 5 yards, but then he takes this one back to the house for 45 yards. At the time he did that, it was 21-17. He took it back to the house. Now it was 28-17 in this game. And the reality was, they went for the two-point conversion and didn't get it, so it was 27-17, 10-point game. But the reality is they went two-score lead. It's just like that. The offense in the second half went down and scored, marched down and scored there that first drive. After that, they sputtered. They couldn't move the ball. It's special teams that really win games each and every week throughout the NFL.
My only question is, if you keep 4 quarterbacks, I don't know how you keep 5 inside linebackers because Peyton Wilson is making the team, Patrick Queen's making the team, Alandon Roberts is making this team. Do you have Carson Bruner, Cole Holcomb? What else is happening there?
It's tough. It's tough right now. There's going to be some very difficult decisions, and I think the Steelers are going to try to take some of these guys and sneak them onto the practice squad. I mean, and you're going to end up losing some good players. That's a good problem to have, though, Richie. When you have good players that you're trying to sneak onto the practice squad and you lose them, hopefully that means that this team is going to do really, really well this year.
All right, back to the phone lines. We got Maurice out in Moon. How you doing, Maurice?
How you doing, sir?
Thanks for calling.
Hey, I'll be real with you. I think all of them guys have something to prove, whether they happen to be on the practice squad or they flourish on another squad. I love what Allen was able to do. I think he has potential to be this team's future QB down the road. Prayers to Will Howard. I hope he's all right. He has some potential upside as well, and I think we're ready. You got to get your popcorn ready. I think 2026 Steelers is going to show us something.
Yeah, I like this team. I've been asking this question, Chris, and I'll ask you this question. Yeah. I think they are much closer to 12-5 than 5-12. I have them landing around 10-7 like they have the last couple years, but this is a pretty good team. And as long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, they can do some damage.
That's a big question, though, Rich. I mean, look, offensive line tonight. You looked at, your guy, your first-round draft pick came in, and he played a little bit better in that second half. But in the first half, he came in, and right away, he gave up a tackle on his first play. His guy came off him and made a great tackle for no gain. He gave up a sack when the defensive end just quickly worked his hands and got up there on the edge and got to the quarterback. And then, he had a holding penalty. He did settle down in the second half, but that was against guys that most likely won't be on the team or in the NFL next week. So the reality is is Broderick Jones going to be your starter week 1? It's looking that way, right? And so it's going to be tough. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, you got to keep him clean. At this age, I remember playing against Aaron Rodgers. That's how long he's been playing. And he was elusive. He was able to manipulate the pocket, get out of the pocket, and throw on the run. He's not that same guy. So they've got to be able to protect him. And if they can't solidify that right side, and Troy Fautanu can get established back on that left side where he was in college, this could be a rough month if Aaron Rodgers is not clean.
Well, Chris, you look like you can still play. Maybe they can sign you out there. Put you on the practice squad at least, right?
I'd be fine.
Chris, Max Ahanachour played for the first time. Didn't get off to a great start. He got beat early, then got beat for a sack, holding penalty, but then kind of find his footing. He had a nice block on the Eli Heinrich touchdown. I don't think he's a guy that's going to start week 1. But this is a guy that you see the potential. He could maybe be there middle of the season, be your starter at right tackle.
Well, really, I'm going off more of what I heard about him in practice before he got hurt, going against T.J. Watt and Nick Herbig and those guys. But tonight, these guys he was going against, first-round draft pick, you want this guy to be able to go out on Sundays in September, October, November, December and win. And these guys he went against tonight just aren't those guys. And so the game's going to pick up. The speed is going to accelerate to lights out, lightning speed. And so he's got to pick that up. And the only way he can do that is just reps and getting out there. And with a first-round guy, at some point he's going to start this season if he stays healthy. And he's just going to, you're going to have to take your lumps. You're going to have to live with mistakes because that's the only way he's going to learn. But this is a guy who everybody believes and everybody has evaluated him to have tremendous upside. An athlete, a guy who's light on his feet, a guy who is very strong and can move. He's just got to go out there and get reps. And unfortunately now, those reps are only going to come in regular season games. Could be at the cost of Aaron Rodgers.
All right, back out to the phone lines. Let's go out to Dave in Burgettstown. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Hey, I was just wondering, what's the offensive line looking like when Aaron Rodgers comes up into this? And with the wide receiver room, is DK going to make some magic or what? Like, we got to figure something out here with the contract with Porter, too. The $18 million getting freed up makes me wonder what's happening with Porter, too.
Well, the $18 million, I think that's just a procedural move. They were right up against the cap, and they need some money going into the season. Maybe it impacts what they do with Porter, but I don't think that's the reason why they did it. In fact, Jerry Dulac said on our pregame show that is not the reason that they did that. But as for DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, we didn't see these guys, Chris, this year, but I have a feeling that, they're all veterans. They've all been practicing together the entire offseason. There might be a little bit of rust to shake off early, but I don't have a problem with any of those guys.
No, I really don't. DK Metcalf, you saw Michael Pittman, they both practiced this week. I'm interested to see what happens with Roman Wilson. He didn't suit up tonight. We did not know he had an injury. Maybe you did. I don't think it was reported he had an injury. That's something that leaves me scratching my head. Why did he not suit up tonight, Richie? Jeremy Bernard, I believe he is the number 3 guy in my mind. He's shown in games what he can do. He's made people miss. He's been electrified. He has been out there and he has made people miss tackles. He's taken it to the house today. So I think he has moved into that 3rd spot. Who's going to be 4? Who's going to be 5? It'll be interesting to see what happens. But that was left me interesting tonight was Roman Wilson.
By the way, we just found out Will Howard being examined or looked at for a head injury. So more than likely that's a concussion, right? So I don't know if that's something that would keep him out or put him on some kind of IR.
No, I don't think so. Really, that's something that could be a couple weeks. And so I don't know if you could justify something like that to put him on IR. I think you're looking at the Steelers putting 4 quarterbacks on the roster. And again, you're going to have a guy here, a guy there that's going to surprise you over the next 48, 72 hours is going to get released.
All right. Yeah, no question about it. It's going to be an interesting 48 hours, no doubt about that. We're going to take a break right now. 412-575-2600 is the number. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to a special Steelers edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh along with Chris Hoke here tonight. Back to the phone lines. We got Rick out in Pittsburgh. How you doing, Rick?
Hey, guys. Really enjoying everything you have to say. This last year, one of the struggles, I think, defenses that against Steelers adjusted. There's no receiver that really stretched the field, and people say, well, that's kind of special, but I think it is for a guy like Freiermuth and others. Does this current roster have somebody who can do that? Because I think, Chris, you would agree. That was a problem for this team last year. Defenses just adjusted because the Steelers had no ability to do that.
All right, thanks a lot, Rick. I'd imagine DK Metcalf, Roman Wilson could be that guy, too.
Yeah, I do, too. I think DK Metcalf is a guy that could be your deep ball guy. And Aaron Rodgers put on the money. And the reason why they couldn't do it last year is because they didn't have a second or third guy that was really scaring a defense, so they were able to have a guy over the top of DK Metcalf. Now when you have the other receivers the Steelers have, that's going to take some pressure off DK Metcalf. That's going to take that guy over the top. That won't allow them to do that, and maybe that'll open up the deep ball for DK Metcalf.
You know, the one thing, Chris, I would have to say is, you know, they vastly improved on offense. Maybe they improved so much they don't have enough balls to throw to all these guys, right? You got DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, Pat Freiermuth needs to get the ball for sure. You know, Jeremy Bernard, what he's shown in the preseason, I think this guy could be a playmaker. I think that the jury's still out on Roman Wilson.
I think so, too. I think Roman Wilson, you've heard reports about him doing well in practice. We've seen it in practice, but we haven't seen it in games, and that's where it matters. When the lights come on, will he perform? But there are a lot of playmakers on this offense. Will he get the balls in their hands? You also have Jaylen Warren.
Yeah.
He likes to get the ball out of the backfield and make people miss and be a really just exciting player to watch. Rico Dowdle, he's a good runner, but can he get the ball in the passing game? So there's a lot of weapons right here. It's good you have Aaron Rodgers who can distribute the ball and get rid of it quickly and will command respect from all of those guys. But I do see a lot of weapons and a lot of opportunities, and I think we'll be just okay.
Chris, is there one name, maybe a surprise name, that might be in jeopardy of not making this team? Is there one guy that you're thinking of that you're worried about?
Oh, man, I tell you what, I think that the one guy that I could say that I think that would be Roman Wilson. I think Roman Wilson might be in trouble. I really do. I think that tonight, just him not being, I don't know, did you hear that he was injured coming into this game?
No.
I didn't either. And he looked on the sideline from pictures and from video, he looked like he was fine. So that's something to me that would be like, is he not suiting up because they don't want him to get hurt? I don't know. But that's just interesting to me.
I was just thinking numbers, maybe Cole Holcomb. So,
and that's another guy, too. I agree. He's another. There's a few guys like them.
All right, Chris, we're out of town. The real stuff's going to start. Steelers.
Let's go.
Against the Falcons, September 13th. In a couple weeks, we're going to be doing this, Chris.
I know. I can't believe it. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Let's get the ball rolling.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. And thank you for watching. Hopefully you make the switch to KDKA or keep it right here on KDKA News. See you in a couple.